Not in, but we're going to pass the node at 150. Oh well. We'll correct it afterwards. We're going to get out to Minmus on this burn. Minmus. I'm not sure. I think that was something that we missed with the fact that KSP doesn't do a very good job of estimating this burn when you've staged and haven't lit your engines yet. So I think that's what it was. How are we doing on fuel? We should be sucking out of this tank, I believe. Yeah, I'll take it. Alright. I'm actually going to grab a drink while this burn completes. There's not some other engine that's firing, is there? No? All those other engines are off, so... Dr. Pepper. So now we're plus 33, and we don't have 3 minutes left to burn. Yeah, Dr. J, I think you hit the nail on the head there. I did the bump. I throttled them all the way up and I activated it, and I may have turned them off before before it had done the full calculation. That is probably what happened. I don't understand why you have to turn the engines on for KSP to calculate what your thrust to weight's going to be. I mean, I don't get it. For the purposes of calculating your burn time, I mean, who knows? We'll be fine. As it turns out, we have Buku Delta V. We'll get out to Minmus with no problems. Need like Benny Hill music or something. I should go into physics time warp and play for doing long burns with these silly nuclear engines. Of course, it would just look like a rocket burning. It wouldn't be guys running around a police car or anything. Let's see how close we got, and then we're going to do a mid-course correction when we get this all the way down. 0.5 on the thrust to weight. That's not terrible thrust to weight, honestly, for an interplanetary craft or a craft going out to explore Minmus or the moon. Just means you're going to have a little bit longer burn sometimes. Yes, thank you everyone that just commented over there. I completely agree. I don't know why you have to burn for it to do that. Did we get anywhere near Minmus? Wow. Minmus is there, and we're there. We need to continue to burn, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to fix this one live. The old Mark 1 fly by the seat of your nav ball. There we go. That's what we wanted to see. Give me an encounter. So it's going to be there, and we're going to be coming to it like that. Let's actually calculate it then. Because we got it close enough, but it didn't fix the encounter because of that weird burn calculation. There we go. That's what we needed. Now let's go out and see Minmus. See how that encounter is going to look. Alright, same sort of deal, and we've got the thrust to weight to slow ourselves down. So I think that we're good to go. Yes. It's just a little, yeah, it's really close, but it's just a little bit off, and I can definitely get into Minmus orbit from this approach. Let's see if we can't play around with the node and get ourselves an easier approach here. Radial, I think it was. That moves us out. That completely loses us. Wow, so a single click there. There we go. That's getting us closer slowly but surely. And making us go slower. I'm right-clicking on this, giving it a little bit different radial delta V. Did I lose it completely? Nope, it's still there. So I'm just giving it independent right clicks, spinning a little bit more radial delta V to get us in there. 5,000? 400,000? Can I click it? Yes, I can. 405, 3, 32, 31. Look at that. I mean, look at the difference that this is adding 1 meter per second every time I click the button. So every time I right click, it does 1 meter per second. Look at how much difference it makes. 40,000 meters altitude just by 1 meter per second different. You should totally install Kerbal Engineer Redux, whatever. I think 168 is a good place to execute a capture burn. I think 87's better. Let me turn this down a little bit. See if I can't get it right at 100. 99.8. It's probably a pretty dangerous burn. But we're going to have to see how accurately we can execute this burn, and that'll tell us if we're going to make ourselves crash into Minmus. Burn in 7 minutes with 24 seconds. I trust it now. It's going to want to be radial. I looked at that on the forums, Bigman17, or Blipman, sorry. A little far away from the laptop screen there. I looked at that on the forums, and the biggest thing for me was that when it switched over to the 1.0 version instead of the 0.6 version, it would have broken your old crafts. And I was freaking knee-deep in a bunch of save files where I had a bunch of stuff going on, and I didn't take the time to edit the crafts or that sort of stuff. So that was my biggest deal. I saw in the forums that there were a couple things people had posted up on ways to fix it, basically. But I never went to the 1.0 version. In fact, I just sent Cybertech a message earlier asking him how that migration was to see if that had fixed. Because I want to do a weekly class on using Kerbal Engineer in designing our rockets. I do not leave home without it. Yes, this is still the same launch, and we're doing our interplanetary transfer, our interplanetary? Our intermooner, our intercelestial bodyer, transfer out to Minmus. But I definitely want to put together kind of an intro to Kerbal Engineer. I think that it should be installed in the game. I mean, taking spaceplane parts and adding them to the game is one thing. Not having the functionality of Kerbal Engineer in the game is a whole other animal. So I would honestly lobby Squad to buy Kerbal Engineer and include it in the stock game. Because it's just freaking awesome. Yeah, precise node. I love precise node. What is this? Roll the middle mouse button to do fine tuning on your node? You gotta be kidding me. I think, Blip, the thing was if you had the old Kerbal Engineer parts on your ship and you migrated to 1.0, any ship that had the Kerbal Engineer part on it would disappear. But I will be honest, it's been about a month. Oh yeah, I didn't do the all-pod thing. It's been about a month since I had a look at the thread to get caught up on it. I do not check it every day, so I will take responsibility for that. I don't think we need this up here right now. We don't need the orbital information, at least. And I got a 24-second burn. That's 12 seconds. Call it 13 seconds for engine spool up. Let's fast forward and talk less. And by the way, I'm completely aware that rocket engines do not spool up. It's just the term I use. Chill out. What did I say? 12, 13 seconds? Yeah. So, 14, 13 engines ignite. Let's do this 80 meter per second burn. See how precise I can get it, because I really would like that periaps over Minmus to be, what did I say, 90, 100? I think it was 100 kilometers. So let's see how close I can get this to an exact burn. I should use the RCS on the lander to make my burn more precise. .1 meters per second. Pretty close, pretty close. And our pass on Minmus is meh. Burn a little bit more and bring it down a little bit more. I just barely popped the engines and I'm burning in real slow watching Minmus here because I want to stop it at 100. There we go. That's a good Minmus burn. Yeah, you can find all my videos by clicking on the channel, and you should see on the channel bar a thing that says past videos. Also, the videos show up when I'm offline in place of the actual video that's streaming. It'll show you a list of videos you can click on and watch. The past episodes get deleted after, I think, 2 weeks or something like that, so there's not a lot of past episodes in there right now because I was off for a week. But I always try to get highlights out of it whenever something cool or amazing or explosion full happens. So you should be able to see it there in the channel. And I always try to label them and describe them, say what's going on. So that's a pretty good pass out to Minmus, I think. I like it. Now we just need to... 6 days, jeez. That's too much. And I think our final orbit around Minmus is going to be like 30 or something. Because that is the least amount of delta V for our trips to and from the surface. We could probably orbit at 25. Let's orbit at 25. There we go. I like it. No, I was actually just use the 6.0 parts without the 6.0 plugin. It shouldn't delete your ships, but also they won't have any functionality. Can be run completely partless. So I could definitely run Kerbal Engineer 1.0 in my Kerbal Academy things, but I would have to do something to try and figure out the migrating from the other thing, migrating from my big pass save. I'll make some backups and have a look at that. Oh, good deal, Chainsaw Face. I mean, the title of this stream is Kerbal Space Academy. I do fun streams too where we just blow stuff up. But this one is Kerbal Space Academy, and I try to do regular streams on things to do in Kerbal Space Program. So everything from how to get into orbit, how to transfer out to the moon and land on it, how to build a space plane or just an atmospheric plane, all the way out to using some special mods and that sort of stuff that help you learn the game. So definitely, if you want to, follow me up, and every time I broadcast one of those Kerbal Academy things, it'll let you know what's going on, and you can join us to try and learn some stuff about KSP, because it's such a freaking cool game. Alright, what do I need to do? Let me set up my maneuver node. There we go. Alright, now I'm set up and the burn is in 6 days. It's going to be a 58-second burn. Do I believe that? Yeah, I guess I believe that. So about a 30-second burn. A 30-second half. So let me go ahead and... actually, I'm going to alarm clock this one. I love Kerbal Alarm Clock as well. It is probably my second favorite mod, because I'm so bad at skipping past stuff. I don't like skipping past SOI changes, so what I did is I clicked on the SOI change button there. Call it Science Farming Ship SOI change. 1 minute in advance, it's going to kill the warp. I like that, and I'll do add alarm. Then I'm going to add another alarm for our node. That's the capture node. Let's go ahead and just do that 5 minutes in advance. Add alarm. So this will actually let me time warp all the way out. And it will actually slow me down when it's time to go through the SOI change, which I like. There we go. Alright. Start the engineer 1.4.x, try copying the old engineer parts over, delete the engineer module. I think that I can get it working. I believe I'll be able to get it working. I just hadn't sat down and spent the time to figure out what needs to be done, because honestly I would punch Kerbal Space Program in the face if it kept deleting my ships. I did not have the bandwidth, let's say, to deal with the extra frustration. But I will definitely look into it, and I'm going to copy paste what's going on here. 5, 4, 3, 2. Slow it down now, boss. Yeah, I need to put the sound in so that it plays a sound, Dr. J. I've got the little overlay that comes up. Dark was helping me earlier with that, but I did not actually put the sound that goes bingly, bingly, boop, or whatever when I get a new follower. I definitely appreciate everybody tuning in and following, though. I hope I'm not too boring because we're actually describing what we're doing instead of just crashing into planets. So there's that. We have an SOI change in about... Am I there yet? Are we there yet? No. Are we there yet? No. Are we there yet? Shut up! Let's get on up to the SOI change. Alrighty. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Not gonna warp past it. It's like hitting your dash visor, your visor in your car when you run a red light. It's totally legit as long as I slap my visor. Or a yellow light. Alright, and then in 2 hours, 28 minutes, we have a burn for 58 seconds, so we're going to call it 30 seconds. Let's fast forward up to that and get on with the sciencing. Nice. Thanks, Cybertech. I appreciate it. Everyone. I talk a lot. Is that what makes a good streamer? Somebody who talks a lot? And I'm definitely looking into getting a face cam sort of deal, because I think that adds a lot to the stream. Except I'd have to clean my room. See if I can... It's not going to let me. Yeah, there we go. I'm now 5 minutes out. Let's slow us down. It's a 30-second burn, so let's go ahead and warp on down and we'll do this Minmus capture. Plus, then I can totally eat sausages on camera. You can make all the funny jokes you want. I will continue to savor my delicious sausages. There's minus on minute. I'm going to call it minus 40 seconds and we'll count down the rest. Old school. Hop over to the vessel. I don't know why the maneuver node's not actually on the... That's a little weird. That must have happened when I went through the SOI change, but we'll be fine. I'm putting too much work into it? I don't know what that means. I'm about to land. Jeez, have you ever been into space? You know how much effort it takes to get into space? Kerbal alarm clock. You can go away. Thanks. I'm circularizing so that we can set up for the landing on Minmus, Adam. So it will be we will be landing shortly. This is your captain speaking. Shut up and enjoy your free drink. Because we will be landing shortly. There we go. Talk to me, Kerbal engineer. And what did I say? I was going to orbit at 25. Alright, another periaps. There we go. There's our periaps there. 50, 40, 30. Now we'll go in slow. Just bump the engines a little bit. Set the periaps to 25. Call it a day. Close enough. Alright, let's ditch that node. And then add a node to circularize. What? That's not... Oh, I clicked the wrong thing. I clicked Apo Apps and it moved my node to the other side of the screen. So 25, huh. And 2024. 25, 20. Hey, that's good enough. I would love to go into space too. They need to get on this entire space tourism thing. I don't even care. Somebody needs to do it. I think there's a lot that would have to happen first. We should have been on the moon 20 or 30 years ago. I mean, we should already be mining stuff from the moon. It sucks that all the political ramifications of returning to the moon and going to Mars kept us from continuing the progress that we made in 10 freaking years. It just makes me sad that now we can freaking flip Angry Birds on our cell phones ad infinitum. Hey, Blipman, thanks for watching. We'll catch you later. We can flip Angry Birds on our cell phones ad infinitum, and our phones have more processing power than the freaking Apollo computers did, but we haven't been back to the freaking moon. That gets on my nerves. 51-minute burn. Let's zoom out there. Alrighty, let's see. 35 minutes. Didn't set an alarm for this one, so I don't want to go flying by it. And let's see. There's 5 minutes. 4, 3, 2, 1. Slow it down, boss. Alright. Then we'll line it up. And we'll zoom the rest of the way in. So start at T-4 because we need a 3-second burn to bracket the node. 7654, spool it up. Do the burn. And cut. What are we at? 25 by 25. I'll take it. The last thing that we need to do is change our orbital inclination around Minmus so that we're in pretty much a flat orbit. We came in... there's not anything... I can't set the moon as a target, I know. Will it let me do that? Yeah, that won't even give me an ascending or descending node because I'm not relative to that. And I can't do it with Kerbal. I think with Minmus I'll just have to use Kerbal Engineer to fix my inclination, and I'm gonna have to eyeball where the ascending descending node is. So how can I do that? I can look at it on the side. I can piddle the orbit here. About like, come on, let me click. There we go. About like that. And then I can use this to make it look flat. Like that. Does that look right? That looks mostly right. And then we can tweak the inclination using Kerbal Engineer, because it gives me an inclination readout right here. Right now I'm at 6.8, which is about, I mean, honestly, that's Minmus's inclination around Kerbal. So that's going to be a 15 meter per second burn in 25 minutes. And I know I am taking a little bit of time to get us a nice clean orbit around Minmus, because we're going to be doing a lot of hopping to and from the surface, getting our science off the surface of Minmus. So I want to have a nice, predictable, clean orbit. I don't want to have some wacky polar orbit, blah, blah, blah. Jeez, no pressure to upgrade or anything. It's not in this one? Orbital inclination. Oh man, no, it's not in there. Ah, drat. I will give it a good look, Cybertech, because I definitely would like to do some Kerbal Space Academy classes using the engineer. How to build your rockets using the engineer. Alright, 24 minutes. Let's zoom up there. Zoom it on around. 4, 3, 2, 1. Slow it down. So it's a 4-second burn. We're going to half it and make it 2 seconds. Plus 1 for spool up is T-minus 3 seconds is when we want to do that burn. 4, 3. Excelente. I mean, what's our inclination? 1.2, wow, I'm still inclined a pretty good bit. But there is no way in the game to see where my node would be, because apparently I don't have Kerbal Engineer 1.0, so I don't know exactly. I have no point of reference. I would just have to guess, test, and revise it. In order to fix that inclination, I would need to know where and when to burn. I mean, it kind of looks like it would be right around here, right? And it kind of looks like... No, that's too much. It kind of looks like this. I don't know. That looks about right, right? Alright, last burn. Then we call it a day. We start landing this sucker. Dr. J, I will tell you that sometimes I wish that the United States was not the first country to land on the moon. I almost wish that Russia had beaten us. Because if Russia beat us to the moon, we would be on Mars by now. But we got to the moon, we're like, nah, 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 we won, and then budget and politics and all sorts of things that make things like science really lame. Or really lame things, I guess I could say, that influence the doing of science, kept us from ever going back. No bueno. But I'm a big fan of space. I mean, we need to get off this rock. We need to be living on the moon. We need to be living somewhere else. We'd get way too many technologies. I mean, if we perfected technologies on you know, what do you do on the moon when you don't have a lot of resources? You have to recycle everything, or you have to generate it out of raw materials. How would that not help? How would that not help us down on the surface of Earth? I mean, it's not like we need to recycle things right now. It's not like we need to learn to live on limited resources. Geez, how could building a freaking moon base help us back on the Earth? It's so hard. Bad Ace, we definitely went to the moon. Don't push that agenda too far in my channel. That's one of the things that I would be passionate about. I mean, we can point lasers at the moon. We can get reflections off the retro reflectors at some of the Apollo sites. They didn't fly themselves up there. So let's do this little teeny tiny correction burn. Yep, 19, 18, 17, 3, 5, 4, 9, 8. Okay, that wasn't exactly on it, but I lowered it down to 0.8. Alright, so begin setting up the orbital ops. When I have a station in orbit, I point it north, because that makes it easy to dock with. So you can see, since I was just doing a descending node correction burn, I'm already pointed straight north. Let's make sure the lander is tanked up. And honestly, for the purposes of the stream, let's zip on around till we are in daytime, so we can do this. So y'all can actually see what's going on with the ship. And we're going to do things like deploy our solar panels, etc., etc. There we go. There's the sunrise over Minmus. I'm going to be working more on this. No, I'm going to be working more on this side, I think. So we'll orient this side towards the sun. Excellent. So let's see here. The movie Gravity. Oh my gosh, you want to talk about ripping your hair out. It's like somebody wrote the script for the movie Gravity and had only been introduced to orbital mechanics by rough description. Don't be scared to go to space because of popcorn drama like that. Anyways, let's deploy our stuff. I'm going to hit my #1 key, which should shut down my engines now that we're on station in orbit, and deploy our solar panels. I've oriented, now it looks kind of like a plane. How about that? I've oriented myself flat to the sun, so those panels should get good solarness. And let's go through our checklist on our lander to make sure it's good to go. Our fuel needs to be fueled up. That's interesting. Apparently we were using that fuel at some point. I guess we need to do disable crossfeed. Interesting. I wasn't expecting that to be like that. Should have disabled the tanks on the lander. No harm, no foul. So we'll tank up the main tank on the lander. And we will check our emergency tanks, our emergency fuel donuts on the lander. Main tank full. Emergency fuel donuts, were those eating fuel? Yeah, the emergency fuel donuts were disabled, so we're good to go there. What else? these. That only has 12. That only has 12. And that has 15. Why don't I empty this out? Oh, yes. Oh, I can't do that yet. And put half of it over here. So see if I can get this up to 20. 1996. Good year. I was alive. No. There we go. And this guy. In. There we go. 1904. Good enough. We won't be too terribly unbalanced. Then I'm going to disable this thing. We're just not going to ever worry about filling that up. And the don't get me started on problems with the movie Gravity. She slowed down. I mean, she wasn't even thrusting against her freaking center of mass with the fire extinguisher. She was like thrusting from the top of her chest or something like that. She should have gone spinning in a circle. She shouldn't have been able to fly around like that. Pixar got it more right than Gravity did. So we've tanked those things up. We're going to say that the nominal load for those is 20 for a total of 40. That would be the same as putting one tank on top, but I thought it looked dumb. All of our experiments are clean. We are oriented towards the sun. We're oriented at north 90. Not 90. We oriented at basically 0 degrees on the nav ball is how they indicate that. Let me extend my comm here. That looks super cool for the purposes of transmitting data. Apparently not back to Kerbal because it's not up there, but wherever that thing transmits its data to. And let's plan a landing for the lander here because that is what we said we were going to do. F5 now that we're on station. In orbit around Minmus with a whole lot of Delta V. Yeah, we're still over 4,000 Delta V. Even more if we were to just run all that Delta V through the lander. We should be able to get a whole lot of up and down trips with this. So, map view. Find something that's in the daylight. Oh, look at that. This is outstanding. We'll do our first landing here. I don't recall what flats that is. That's one of the flats. Something flats. I haven't. Dan, thank you. I could do near Minmus science. Of course, the trick is going to be that since we are in... Oops, I probably should have oriented the other way. Let's flip around here. There we go. Now I can actually see my science experiments. That's much more useful. Since we're in career mode, it's just going to make fun of us for doing... Or sorry, since we're in sandbox mode. With the R&D facility closed, it's hard to tell what any of this means. Because we were just building this for the purposes of the Space Academy thing. But anyways, we'll keep that data. I think it'll still let us keep the data. Can we do the gravioli detector? You have a growing suspicion you're not actually learning anything. Thank you, Eeyore. This guy up here could probably give us a crew report. Excellent. Something tells me these are not the results. No, it's not ocean. It's frozen mint ice cream. Or something. It's solidified mint ice cream. On Minmus, there is no water. Those flat areas, when you're first coming out to Minmus, the huge flat areas, labeled as the flats in the biome, are the best places to land because they're at datum altitude. They're at 0 on the altitude indicator, and they're huge expanses of flat area. So if you're not so good at picking your landing site, or doing sort of a targeted landing, finding a flat area to land, or landing on, like a 45-degree slope, targeting those flat areas on Minmus is the way to go. Minmus. There's no I in there. Targeting those flat areas is definitely the way to go, which is what we're going to do here with Bill and his science lander. So, we'll go ahead and go over this. And, gosh, you can see that inclination. You can see how that orbit is a little bit wonky. Lame. Maybe I can put something in a 90-degree orbit just by taking off and going 90 degrees and then make myself inclined relative to that until I install 1.0 of Kerbal Engineer. Alright, so anyways, planning this descent, here's what we're going to do. It doesn't make sense. I could come over here and I could... Seriously? Seriously? I have encountered the bug that does not allow me to put nodes down. I am sad. As you can see, it's not giving me the little ball that lets me put a node down. Well, anyways, I was going to say not to do that. If right now I'm on the entire combined science vessel, I've got the lander docked with the science vessel, and I were to go over here and, barring KSP bugs, plan a lander node, there's a high probability that when I disconnected the lander, it would lose the node. It would leave the node on the main ship and not put the node on the lander. So when you're planning your lander, the best thing, when you're planning your landing, the best thing to do is, step 1, F5, quick save. Step 2, we've already checked out the lander. We know that it's got biscuits and whatever it needs on board. Bill is in there. That's where he took off from. So we're going to go ahead and do decouple node. Now we've separated the lander from the ship. We're going to flip to the lander, turn on RCS, and puff away from the main ship just a little bit so that we can go. Now, please tell me that you are fixed. Now that I've separated the ships, for some reason, it's fixed. And it's going to let me do the thing. So landing on Minmus is super simple. I'm going to show you the easiest way to do it first and hope that I have enough Delta V to get back off. All I'm going to do is put the node directly above the place that I want to land, and I'm going to give so much Delta V in the retrograde direction at that node that we basically drop straight down to Minmus. This is not the most efficient way to land. Don't let anyone tell you wrong. This is for if you're not really used to landing, you're learning to land. This is so that you can land pretty easily. I will also go through a landing, since we're going to do some jumping up and down, where we come in a more efficient landing, and we come in at kind of a longer angle instead of just burning to fall right here. When I start to do this, I'll explain why this isn't efficient. Some people may see that what I'm doing right now is a problem. I've made a mistake, and I will talk about the mistake when I get up here. But if you see what I've done that's a mistake, a very common mistake that you will learn if you play KSP enough, I've made a mistake right now. If you know what it is, tell me in the chat. I'm away from that. That's good. Let me go ahead and kill my relative velocity. There we go. Let's activate the engines. Make sure we're throttled down. Do the whole checkout thing. Good on that engine. Good on that engine. Gear check. Press G twice for some reason. There's our gear. I like it. That looks like a nice stable little lander. We'll put the gear back up for now. Point the other way and fire the engines. Exactly. And I'm going to time warp up to my node. Estimated burn in a... Thanks. I know the burn is going to be really slow because our current thrust to weight is insanely high. Let me check the chat right quick. How many times to orbit this thing or revolution? Sorry. Yeah, I've got some little micro landing legs in there. You weren't there for that part. I'll talk about that next, Dr. J. I don't understand the question, Adam. How many times to you orbit this thing or revolution? Are you asking how fast I have to go around it? How many orbits is it going to take to get all the science? Now that we're in orbit, we're going to stay in orbit. Burning too late. Yeah, Adam, if you can rephrase your question, I don't exactly understand what you're asking me. Dr. J, we actually, these landing legs have a impact resistance of 12 meters per second. These science goo bays down here that are also useful because they carry goo. Guess what their impact resistance is? 12 meters per second, the exact same as the landing legs. So we're going to do a landing. I put these on here just to make it a little bit more stable. I'm going to do one landing with this, and then I'm going to do one landing where we just touch down straight on the goo bays because these have the exact same impact resistant as these. The important thing we went through when we were designing it was that the engines did not stick out below the goo. So you see here, I've got it lined up. You don't see the engine nozzle sticking out. I would like it if it was a little bit more. We had a little bit more clearance on those nozzles. But we're totally using the goo as landing legs on this craft. We could have removed these and not even gone with them. How many times did I go around? So far I haven't made, I think, more than 2 orbits of Minmus. There's not an orbit counter that lets me understand that number. So I think we've made 2 orbits. We're going to make a whole lot more. Best we could do would be to look at our mission elapsed time for the science ship right now and make a note of when we actually went into orbit. We would know our orbital period around Minmus, because Kerbal Engineer 0.6 will give me the orbital period, and I could divide the current time minus the mission elapsed time when we arrived by the orbital period, and that would tell us how many orbits we've made. I think that's the best that I could do for you here. So, I've been talking a lot, more fast forwarding to the node. Has anybody figured out what I did wrong? It's about to become blazingly obvious how I screwed that node up. Now? Anyone? Now? See the problem? When I put that node up there, it was out in the middle of the flat. As it turns out, Minmus rotates, and the node does not move around relative to Minmus. It stays relative to where you are in the orbit. So as Minmus has rotated, it has moved my freaking node. It didn't move my node. It's just, if I burn where this node is, I'm barely going to land in the flats. So what I needed to do was put the node a little bit further this way, so that as the orbit, or as the rotation of Minmus goes around and around, it's actually in the middle of the flats. I could have done that when I was on the other side of the planet. I could have done that by putting the node way over here, and as Minmus rotated, the node would have been right here or something along those lines. You run into the same problems with coming back to, yes, rotation of Minmus. Thank you. I don't know if you said that before it came through in the stream there, Dan, for the rescue. I'm going to assume you have, because you've proven your competence in KSP knowledge so far. Totally wish I could click a button and give you a rep. But when you're landing on KSC, or you're trying to return back to KSC, that becomes a big problem. If you're on the far side of the planet and you plan a node that looks like you're entering about like you want, by the time you get to the node, Kerbal has rotated. The node isn't anywhere near where you want it to be anymore, and you have to tweak it right there. So just always check that. Keep in mind that planets, as it turns out, rotate upon their axes, and it can change your node planning. Look at that guy. So anyways, let's prepare to do this burn. 140 meters per second. Oops, let's turn off RCS too. We don't need to be wasting RCS on that stuff. We're about to see if we have enough Delta V in this craft to do this. 1200 Delta V. I'd really like to have 1500. Let's do a total check here. See how much. What did I say I had in reserve? That gave me another 164. So I've got just about 300 in reserve. I like that. That makes me happy. Yeah, I was making that mistake yesterday with space planes. I was like, you freaking noob. You even knew what you needed to do, and you did it wrong. So let's zoom forward here. I'm going to try burning about 10 seconds out. Ridiculous thrust to weight, 72.9. That thrust to weight doesn't play around. We're looking good there. We're not going to hit the science ship when we start burning. If I had a nickel for the number of close calls I've had. And we'll just start burning now. Now we're already out of orbit, and we're basically going to drop like a rock. And as we're dropping like a rock, boop, there we go. Check out my new orbit. That's not a very good orbit. This is not a particularly efficient way to do it. It's easier for you. So if you're new, coming straight down is going to remove a lot of the variables that you have in actually let's do surface. There we go. It's going to remove a lot of the variables that make landing difficult. Don't get me wrong. And if you're new to KSP, I will definitely not make fun of you for doing your landings this way. Let me kill off the rest of the velocity here. Then I will continue talking. Right now I'm still going over the surface at 6.4 meters per second. I want that to be 0 for demonstration purposes. There we go. Alright, now all we freaking have is gravity to pull us straight down. And that's exactly what makes this method of deorbiting super inefficient. What we've done is we burned a whole lot of delta V. It was like 130 or something like that. I'm actually going to write that down so I can say it again later. And right now we're at 1055 delta V left. Let's see what we are when we land. We burned 130 something delta V so that we would completely stop our orbital velocity. And now we're just going to let gravity take over and pull us straight down. We were going 0 meters per second there, and gravity is going to pull us straight on down to Minmus here. What that means is that a lot of that delta V that we used is going to get us with the gravity here. We're going to spend too much time falling into this gravity well, and it's going to give gravity a lot of time to act on our craft and impart a lot of velocity. Remember, this was 0 a few seconds ago. Now it's already 15. I'm not running the engines. That's Minmus's gravity pulling me straight down. It's going to pull us a pretty good distance down. Do this. Excellent. It's going to pull us a pretty good distance down, and every second that that gravity is acting on our craft, it's building up momentum, basically, that we're going to have to burn fuel to counteract. So the more time we take to deorbit, the more delta V it's going to cost us, simply because Minmus is building up with that gravity on our ship. Now, Minmus is a great place to practice because it doesn't have very much gravity. It's almost no gravity. So when I explain these concepts, if you're someplace like Tylo or another larger moon or Duna or something like that, these things increase the impact they have by orders of magnitude. But on Minmus, this is a great testing ground. This is a great place to learn to fly, to learn to land, to know what's going on with the nav ball. You really need to do that before you try the... Come on, little antenna. Why can't I touch that antenna? I can't touch it. That makes me sad. I'm going to have to clip inside of it? Apparently. I've gone and mucked something up. Well, if we transmit something, we can we can fix that. So anyways, now we're down to 36 meters per second, and we're still falling towards Minmus. Minmus's gravity continues to act on us, and we are going to have to pay those debts back before we land. Are you parachutes? Oh no, Dr. J got you. Hey, thanks Dr. J for answering the question there. I appreciate it. I try to check the chat, but sometimes I'm running my mouth and flying ships, and I don't check the chat as much as I need to. So we'll do our first landing here. Let's turn the landing lights on. There we go. Let's go ahead and put our landing legs down. There we go. We're still 20,000 up. But that gravity continues to write checks that we are going to have to cash with delta V later. Yeah, I was trying to click it and it's not giving me anything. I don't know what the deal is. There we go. I got it going that time. You know something? I think I was left clicking instead of right clicking. Oops. I'm gonna say that Dan for Rescue definitely knows his KSP stuff. Do you stream, Dan? You definitely have good knowledge of KSP. I am going to grant you that for sure. So I think that I should be able to... I don't want this to go much over 100. We've got serious thrust to weight, so I'm not worried about it. But I don't want to get within 5,000 meters of the surface and be going 200 or 300 meters per second. I don't think that that'll happen, but there's only one way to find out. But I am going to fast forward a little bit here so we can go down here. But just watch this. There's gravity acting on me. I'm going to have to counteract that before I land. Yeah, I definitely... I mean, it's a lot of fun. I've played, I'm going to say 100 hours of KSP, but I never really streamed much of it. I would definitely come subscribe to you. Adam, I'm going to send a probe back that contains some science data. And look at this, I've got the better atmospheres pack in, so I'm actually landing in some soup. What am I at? 114. Let me check how quickly I can decelerate. This is easy. In my landing, my goal is going to be to point at the green X and try to get it pointing straight up on the nav ball. That green X is where we're landing. Oh yeah, look how quickly we can bleed that off. We're good to go. That green X is the direction that we're going. You can see right now that we're not falling exactly straight down. But let's burn some of that off and get going 50. I'm going to use my same pushing green sort of thing. I'm burning over off to the side of the green ball, which is going to help me push the green ball to the middle here. There's 900. Let's go ahead and slow down a little bit more. Basically, when this gets to 0, I want that to be 0. So I'm going to burn a little bit more. 25. Let's get it down to 20. I think I feel good there. And that's going to get me close enough that I can... There's 13. RCS to make me land straight. Alright, now I'm going to run the engines and try to coast on down. So there's 10 meters per second. RCS. See how I'm using the RCS? I'm pressing IJKL to translate and try and go straight down. That was too much thrust. You don't want to sit there and hover on your engines. Every second you're hovering, you're basically just trading the force of gravity pulling on you for delta V that's in your fuel tanks. You don't really want to do that. Let's continue our straight down ascent. It's also useful sometimes to look at your shadow. So there's my shadow. If you're landing in a place where you don't know exactly... Whoa, I'm hovering on my engines. I said not to do it, and then I did it. If you're hovering someplace where this is not going to be 0 when you land, you can look at your shadow to get some semblance of what your relative height is. And see what I'm doing? I'm trying to just run those engines so little that I touch down just barely, like that. And that's a landing. Welcome to Minmus. I've apparently sunk into the surface of Minmus. Apparently the mint chocolate chip ice cream is melting a little bit. But there's a landing. I'm going to go ahead and turn these lights off because we only have so much electric charge, although it looks like we're doing good. Let me go ahead and get caught up with the chat here now while I extend the ladder and stuff like that. Bill, you can go on EVA after I do some science experiments. So that was the landing on Minmus. We started out with 1200. We now have 884. Let me write that down. 884. That's cool. There's a spot of light next to me. This thingy? It's a Minmus will-o-wisp or something. I don't know what that thing is. But here we are on Minmus. I like that little lander. Let me get caught up on chat. There was lots of stuff going on. No problem. Yes, I'm going back. I think I answered that one. 600 hours in KSP. That's why I don't play that in Steam, because I don't want anyone to know how many hours I have. I may have more than that. I'm not sure. Still have the receipt for the game. Nice. Party streamers. On how you built the whole ship that you're using. K9 Officer, I'll definitely do a highlight there. That'll make it stick around for a while. We also started with that. I split the stream. We were doing some for fun stuff earlier, and I split the stream just before I started. So if you go back to the saved episode, if you go to my channel, I'll give you a list of saved episodes. And if you watch the Minmus Science Farming episode, it starts with the building of the ship. So we talk through the requirements, what the design requirements are, and then we go through building the science vessel, building the lander, building the science return pods, and building the lifter to actually get into orbit. So I think that's probably the best way to look at it. Instead of me highlighting like an hour-long segment, I will just let you go and look up the episode. That'll be up there, I think, for 2 or 3 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. So if you don't get it, K9 Officer, feel free to send me a message or something, and I'll help you out. No worries. Do more challenges later. I think maybe we can end up... I'm going to go to dinner and stuff here in a bit after we finish up this stream, which still has quite a few objectives left. Then Then I'm going to go to dinner, and maybe we could do some challenges later. So anyway, if we've landed on Minmus, we can do all of our science. We can have him do a crew report. Oops, there's an there's an existing crew report. Crew report while in space near Minmus. I'm going to go ahead and just transmit that. And there I would have got the science for that. Remember, when you have the science, there are some things that you can transmit back home for full value, and there are some things that you won't get full value from. So things like crew reports, EVA reports, that sort of stuff, that's very transmittable. You'll get 100%, and that's a good way to get that science back to KSC so that you can actually start using it. Other things, it makes a lot of sense, like surface samples. You clearly can't transmit a surface sample back to KSC. I don't think they've developed teleportation or beam me up Scotty technology. So some of those things you actually do have to carry back. That's why we've got the pods on the side of the science ship. Kerbal Engineer, I love you. I don't need you right now. That's why we've got the pods on the side of the science ship so that we can return some of those hard physical samples or whatever back to Kerbin without doing it. So let's go to Bob. Is this Bob? I don't even know who I'm driving. Here we're on Minmus. Walking around. Obligatory flag shot. Let's go ahead and plant a flag. Excellent. Floop. Into the mint chocolate chip ice cream. And, I totally missed something. I lied. I need Kerbal Engineer right now. Let me switch back to the ship. No, that's the flag. Let me slip to the ship. One of my favorite things in Kerbal Engineer is to turn off orbit and vessel and turn on surface, and it will actually tell you the biome that you are currently in. So, what I can do... Yes, Fellwebble, I'm in sandbox mode. It'll tell me the biome that I'm currently in. That helps a lot for finding different biomes. It'll also tell you the biome you're flying over, so when you're trying to farm some of that science, you can just keep watching Kerbal Engineer over here, and it'll tell you what biome you're flying over or what biome you're landed in. Cybertech, it has the impact biome in here, but the impact biome doesn't take atmosphere into account in the version that I'm using. I'm not sure if version 1.0 of the Flight Engineer takes atmosphere into account when calculating your impact biome. That would be a killer feature that I would do. I would totally go to 1.0 and whatever it involved if I could see where I was going to impact given gravity. Feld, we knew that we wouldn't be able to get science. We can pick up the science. We can transmit the science. Cybertech. No reason to upgrade. I don't see why anyone would need to upgrade. On the science, I know that I can get the science, I can collect it, I can transmit it. It's just not going to credit me for it. And so since I was doing a tutorial, I wanted to do it in sandbox mode. So we had all the parts. I didn't have to worry about unlocking it, that sort of stuff. Maybe in the future, when I do another one, I'm planning on doing these every so often, maybe every other week or something. In the future, we can do one where we actually have to buy the stuff. And you know how we talked about installing new modules on this lander using the junior docking port on the top? We could do it that way. We could build the science ship just with what we have from scraping surface samples off the launch pad or whatever. And we could build that science ship, send it out here, and as we unlock things, we could make new science modules and install them on the lander. I think I'll do a future episode like that, so I will definitely I'll definitely post up when I'm going to do that. So anyways, I was doing an obligatory screenshot of the lander here on Minmus. Turn your light off. There you go. Obligatory open mouth Kerbal screenshot. Love it. Turn your light back on. I think I need to do a surface sample too. Surface sample. Right click bug. Have I run into the right click bug? Because I can't right click on this guy again. I am not having any luck right-clicking on anything. which is totally lame. I've apparently run into the right-click bug. Yes, I designed my flag. That's a logo I've used for a long time. I'm going to go ahead and switch on up to the science vessel and then come back down to this guy and see if the right-click bug has been fixed. Because it's very hard to do science when the right-click bug is in effect. Can I right-click here? Yes, I can right-click there. So let's go back to our other ship. I think that's a 64 thing. I use 64-bit Kerbal Space Program, so if you get into a mode where you're running 64-bit and you're trying to right-click on stuff and it's not working, switch to a different ship and then switch back to the first ship, and right-click should become enabled. Yes, it did. Excellent. Log seismic data. Thank you. Log gravity data. Meh, I overwrote something, whatever. Log pressure data. There's no atmosphere. We knew that. Log temperature data. Excellent. Keep it. Switch on down to the Kerbal. Bill, I think it is. Take surface sample. Keep it. EVA report. Keep it. Then you go back over. Yeah, I wasn't left-clicking that time. So then we shuffle back over to the lander. We grab our ladder. We climb up it, and we get in it to go science somewhere else. I totally flubbed on the naming of this flag, I believe. Let me look. Yeah, it won't let me. I can't do anything to the flag. I was hoping I could rename it or something, but for some reason the flag's not working. Back to the Kerbal. Don't be floating off. F to board. Now we're back on board. So, what was our budget? We knew that our budget, and how far away from a different biome did we land? As part of our check ride, let's call it, I'm going to go ahead and rendezvous with the ship, and we'll see how much Delta V we had left over. The lander's designed to allow me to go flipping over to other biomes. That's easiest. A grand total of 0.00. Wait a second. Nothing. Add that to nothing. Carry the nothing. That's not very good science. Typically, it's good to try and plan your landings so that you're right next to the border of another biome. So if I were to have tried to land right, call it right here where the mouse is, right next to this slope, that would have been a good place to land because I could have landed there, done the science in the greater flats, hopped over to the slope, done the science in the slope, not used very much Delta V to hop between the two biomes, and then gone back up to do the orbital rendezvous. That's bueno. Since I've landed out here in the middle and this is our first mission down to the surface, I'm going to go ahead and do the rendezvous back with the ship now, show how easy that is, and see how much Delta V we have left over. So, let's do that. Am I on the ship? Yes, I have Kerbal Engineer. Set the science farming ship as my target. Same sort of stuff we talked about before, but the orbital velocity is not 2,300 meters per second like it is on Kerbin, it's 150. So we do need to take off when the science ship is somewhere over here, before us in the orbit, but we don't need to take off when it's halfway around the planet. We need to take off probably when it's, I'm going to say, right around here. So all we need to do is time warp up. So that we can see when the science ship, I'm going to say right here, is about right. Minmus is much smaller also than Kerbin, so I'm going to do it right about here, I think. Right when it gets over the bottom of this little lesser Minmus flat, whatever that place is called. Right there, we're going to play it by ear. Alright. Over to my lander, we're good to go, we're fueled up. Let me do an Alt F5 here on the surface just to make sure. RCS, we don't need you. Throttle up. And there we go. Step 1, turn east. That's 90 degrees on your nav ball. Step 2, lean over till you're about 45 degrees. Step 3, go to your map. And step 4, watch yourself increase your periapsis till it intersects with your target. Easy peasy. So there we go. Looks like we got a pretty good guess. But we're going to be coming in way too soon. Because we're going to hit the orbit before it gets here, that means we need to burn straight up. And see, when I burn straight up, that gives us more up and less over. There we go. Let's see here. I need to loiter some now, so a little bit more apoaps would do us good. And I'm a little bit below it. See how I'm coming in? My blue line is coming in below my green line. That means that I need to point north like this and burn to correct. There we go. Excellent. Now, we're still coming in way too fast, so I'm going to have to burn higher. So let me come over here, look at my actual orbit. Oops. There we go. Look at my actual orbit. Which way am I going? Let's put a little bit more vertical velocity in there so that we can loiter. There we go. That's what I like to see. This is a quasi-direct orbital rendezvous. So because I was coming up too fast, I'm actually going to go past the orbit, waste some time out here jacking around while it catches up to me, and then on the far side I'll have the encounter. A direct rendezvous is when you come in there and right at your apoaps, you hit it directly. Missed it a little bit, I didn't quite guess correctly, so we're going to have a quasi-direct and we're going to hit it on the backstroke, basically. We can do some planning here to make our lives easier. I can click here and add maneuver, and I want to basically match orbits. So let's see what I can do to match orbits here. Step 1 is to do some radial out until your apoaps is in the middle of your nav ball, or your nav node there. So the little apoaps thing is now in the middle. Step 2 is to give it some prograde, delta V. Then you can see that your apoaps wasn't actually in the middle. So pull radial out a little bit more. Here's the apoaps. Watch when I pull the radial out, it's actually going to pull it into the middle of the node. Like that. That's what we want. Give it some more prograde. That's good. Again, we're a little bit shy on this side. We're already touching the line there, so we need more radial out. Pull that radial out back in. Now the periaps is apparently the part that's going to be in there, so that's cool. And that gets us pretty darn close. Give it a little bit more. Now, if I wanted to, what I would want to do is take the apoaps of my target and match it up with, or sorry, the apoaps of my target, yeah, and match it up with the apoaps of my projected orbit. And that would put us in pretty darn close orbits. So there's that. Take off a little bit of delta V. That's going to move it around a little bit. That's honestly a pretty close orbit. I'm not going to try to match up the apoaps. That's just that's just doing too much. So the good thing about that is that we know that our landing gear need to come up. We have now used that maneuver node to calculate how much delta V we need. So it's going to take us 77.9 seconds, and because we've been burning our engines, we know that it's going to take us 8 seconds to execute that burn. That makes the rendezvous a whole heck of a lot easier. Ladder. Come on down, ladder. Nobody needs you. There we go. That makes the rendezvous a lot easier. So we're already good to go there. Let's switch over to our target velocity, 64 meters per second. We're going to burn a little bit too much, so maybe we'll lose that. But this is just a planning tool. This means that when we get to that node where that encounter is, 4 seconds before that node, we need to light these puppies up, and we need to start this burn so that we can change our relative velocity. He's coming out of the sun like a World War I dogfighter. But let's go ahead and fast forward up till we're about 10 seconds out, and I'll show you what I mean by being able to plan by putting that node in there. So see him coming up there. He's coming up fast. Stay on target. Don't start burning yet. You could start burning, but I'm going to try and suicide burn this. Stay on target. 4 seconds out. I'm not going to burn to the node. I'm going to push green here. I'm going to draw a line between the pink, the green, and the blue. Now I'm going to light the engine. I'm going to put my relative vector over towards him, and I'm going to cut it. Now I'm drifting towards him at 14 meters per second. And again, I'm pushing the green. I talk about this a lot, but I drew a straight line from the pink thing to the green thing to my nav ball indicator. That means that I'm going straight towards him now because the pink thing overlaps the green thing. I'm going straight towards him at 7.4 meters per second. So what I'm going to do is wait till I get close and then bleed off the rest of this velocity. Like that. And then we can begin our operations to actually do the rendezvous. Or the docking, I mean. We've done the rendezvous. We're here. But we have not done the docking maneuver yet. So let me see if I have... It looks like we're going down right now. Let's turn on that RCS and push our green up. Nope, that's wrong. That's right there. So I'm flipped over. Let me flip. There we go right there. Alright, so you can look on the nav ball and you can see that because the green thing is above the pink thing right now, because of the way I have my ship oriented, notice how I can totally screw that up. But here's what I did. I looked at the ship. I pressed the I button because I knew I needed to go up north of the ship, and I saw this little jet coming out. That means that I know that this way I've oriented myself correctly. Now when I press K, relative to the ship, I'm going to stop. I'm going to push myself down. And watch how this does this. When I push I, it makes me go further above the ship. When I push K, it makes me come closer to the ship. See, now I'm going straight towards it. Don't want to do that. My docking port's on top. So now I've put in some velocity there, and I'm going to miss the ship to the top. This is where the ship is. This is me missing the ship above it. Looks like I'm going to miss it by a little bit too much. So let's do that and change our orientation here. This alignment looks good. I'm lined up good. Excellent. I'm missing it a little bit too much, so let's give it a little bit more JK power there. And then let's slow the relative velocity. Just come to a stop above it. Easy peasy. Happy little rover. Happy little landing. I'm pretty good lined up already, just because I took care to get chase cam. That's easy mode. Just because I took care to get this done. What's real easy mode is another mod I have listed down there in the channel description, docking port alignment on the nav ball. So I right click that docking port, I do set as target. I come down here on my other docking port, I do control from here. You can see that's given me... That ship is twisting. That ship is twisting. Why was that ship twisting? That was interesting. That's okay. I think we have arrested the twist. So that nav ball docking alignment gives me a new indicator on the nav ball, this little red item. If I line up with this red item, make sure my little wings on my nav ball are flat with the wings on the red thing. That means that I'm flat with that docking port. This docking port is flat with this docking port. I'm not exactly over it though, so watch this. As I puff my, maybe if I turn my RCS on that would be good. I'm going to move myself that way, see how I'm puffing myself to line up with the ship, then I'm going to stop. Then I'm going to puff myself this way to go over the ship. Watch what happens here. This pink thing, which is where the ship is relative to me, is going to move underneath us. Watch what's happening on the nav ball. Let me turn it so it matches. There we go. Watch what's happening on the nav ball down here with what I'm doing up here. See how they match? This is where the ship is. This is where I am. So I need to go to the side a little bit. There we go. Then I need to puff myself back. Oh, wrong direction. There we go. And once I get that red, myself, my nav ball indicator with the wings, lined up in the red thing, lined up in the pink thing, that means that I've got pretty good docking port alignment here. So the only other thing to do is to go in that direction, which is H. So I'm going to puff on down there. See, I've got my green prograde, my green relative motion thing now. And you can see that I'm going down, but I'm going a little off the side. Now I'm going straight at the pink. If I had a nickel. And let's puff off. That's a dock. So we are docked back with our science vessel, ready to refill, ready to transfer our science. So here's what I do with transferring the science. Sun's about to go down. Let's do it quick. I'm going to flip around. What did I forget to do? Somebody tell me what I forgot to do. I forgot a huge thing. Oops. Oh well, we'll do it on the next landing. Alright, point that towards the sun. Let's get old Bill out. When you're here with the pod, you can right-click on the pod and you can say take data. Take data. You can also right-click on your experiments over here and say take data. This is basically taking the memory card out of whatever experiment you're working with and putting it over in his backpack or his pocket or something. So now Bill is carrying all the data from his EVA reports. He's carrying the data from this. If I hadn't screwed it up and remembered to actually, I don't know, fly to Minmus and then do science when I'm on Minmus, I would have already done this. Observe the materials bay and observe the mystery goo. Which is what I totally forgot to do on the surface of the planet. Oops. There you go, Dan. Thanks. Anyways, usually it's a lot easier to get the experiments out when you're down there landed on the planet. Because I flubbed up and didn't do them, I just did them in orbit, which is something we had to do anyways. So let's let go of the ladder. I'm going to puff over to these experiments. Turn your light on. Let your Kerbal light shine. We'll get up against this experiment so I can get the data out of it. Oops, can't do it that way. I have to do it this way. Remove the data. I'm going to fly around to the mystery goo. Beep. Take it down here. And we'll take the mystery goo out. It'd be cool if there were ladders next to here. Collect the data. Yes. Now I'm going to fly over to this pod. Well, that's not very good flying, Valdez. I'm going to fly over to this pod, and I will show you how we are going to get Buku science without returning the Kerbals home. Let's go ahead and do... Grab a hold, buddy. Grab a hold. There we go. Alright, so now that I'm over here, I can repeat the process that I did to take the experiments out. I'm controlling the Kerbal, I right-click on the command pod, I click Store Experiments. That takes all of the experiments that he had in his back pocket, or wherever Kerbals carry experiments. I don't know, I think I took the surface sample. We could actually look in the pod and see. Let's see here. Oh, I have to be controlling the ship to do that. Let's put Bill back in his ship, and then we will check to see if it was in there. RCS, fly up, fly over, fly down, kill relative velocity, go in the door. Easy peasy. So, this is one thing that always gets me. I always forget which pod I put it in. I was like, wait, was it the right pod or the left pod? I need to, like, put one battery on one and two batteries on the other. Let's see if I did that, surface sample. Mystery U observation from space, good. Surface sample, yeah, I got the surface sample, good to go. EVA report, got it. Seismic scan, got it. Gravity scan, got it. Temperature scan, got it. Material study, got it. I should have thought of this in advance. For the next time I stream here, I actually have kind of a Google Doc, like a spreadsheet, that I use to catch whether or not I've gotten the experiment from each biome. If you take this ship to Minmus, you hit all the biomes, you do each experiment twice in each biome, you can max out the science tree only going to Minmus. You will have to do some things like adding the pod to the top of the lander with the new science experiments once you research them. Minmus and a couple scrapings from the launch pad are the only places you need to go to max out the current tech tree and stock KSP. I mean, it's a little sad. You don't even need to go to the moon, but that's what I do. Anyways, as we orbit over, remember this. Check this out. Kerbal Flight Engineer Surface tab is telling me what I'm flying over, and I could actually go up here and do an EVA report. Where are you at? Crew report flying over the Midlands. That was in space, so I'm not low enough for that. So anyways, scrub that. The other thing we need to do is re-clean, I guess, the experiments. You do that from here. All you do is clean experiments, and you'll get a nice little counter up here as we turn battery power from the ship into clean experiments. Doesn't really take too long. The Science Junior takes a little bit of time. The Mystery Goo takes a little bit less time. But having this lab here makes this entire thing so OP, because the process that we're following Lander goes down. Lander doesn't forget to run Mr. U and science and all of its stuff. Lander comes back up. Bill stores the experiments in here. Lander goes down to a different biome. It repeats the same thing. It comes back up. Bill takes the stuff out, puts it in here, clean the experiments, go down to a different biome. We can freaking scrape the surface of Minmus clear of science value just by using this science bay and these two things. So let's see here. We've got the cleaning done. Both of those are good to go. We need to refuel. So let's take this here and fill her up, boss. As I pump fuel, I'm going to read the chat. Still learning. Dr. J, I'm glad you're still learning things. That is the entire purpose of this. I think that there's so much to this freaking game. It's awesome. You'll never run out of stuff to learn. I don't even know. I mean, I learned a trick just earlier today that Danfor Rescue told me, putting that linear pod underneath. That was an awesome trick, and I've played a whole heck of a lot of hours in this. No one will ever know everything on here. Do I work for KSP? I do not work for KSP. I have a lot of experience doing technical presentations and creating training materials for companies. So to actually pay my rent, I'm an independent consultant, and I go around. I train people in offices on using software. Not any specific software. They tell me what they need help with, and I come up with training curriculum to train them what to do. So I have years and years and years, 14, 15 years experience taking a technical topic that's presented on a computer and coming up with curriculum to teach it and presenting it to people. I've done online streaming before professionally with my actual job. I've done a ton of in-person stuff as well, but I think that's why I got into this. I was like, I love playing KSP. It doesn't make sense to play KSP by myself. I'd rather play it on the stream and explain what I'm doing and hopefully teach some people at the same time. But that's where I'm from. I've been doing that for years and years and years. Let's see here. Any other questions? Chase cam, I saw that one. I like the chase cam. It is very useful for docking. That's what I do with the, let's see here. I do it with the orientation of the craft. So with this one, I just know that the dorsal part of it is where the door is. A lot of times, I do like I did right here. Remember, I docked upside down. This green light is on the dorsal part of this craft. So I know right now, looking at the craft this way, with this on top, S is going to rotate me up, W is going to rotate me down, A is going to rotate me left, D is going to rotate me right. All my translations the same too. I will puff me down, K will puff me up, J and L will puff me left and right. But that's why I always try to keep track of where the dorsal part of the craft is. And I put a little light on it like this, or on the lander. I just know that it's where the thing is. You'll see almost all my crafts will have a single battery with that little light on it on the dorsal side, and it's just so that I can get right like this and know exactly what I'm looking at. I know what my controls are. Let's see here. Any other questions? Ion lander. Nice. 16,000 science. That's awesome. Did take the surface sample. Alright, I think we got caught up with the chat here. So let's do another landing here on the daytime side. Did I miss anything? We need to put some more monopropellant in here. I didn't write down my Delta V. I feel like we had lots of Delta V left though. 18, 19, 20. Close enough. Alright. That's full up. We didn't bust into our emergency fuel. You know what would be cool? We should put 5 units of emergency RCS or something in here. I like following this concept where you have some tank on your craft that's disabled and you put a little bit of fuel or whatever into it so that if you get so close to your docking or so close to your maneuver or whatever, you can always enable that emergency tank and finish off your maneuver with that. It's just kind of the emergency buffer. Better atmospheres. No, better atmospheres is not hard to install. It's just a couple things that you drag over. I think I'm using the Better Atmospheres pack, which was a couple different things. So I think we're all refit here. We can go ahead and do a quick save. Why are these guys saying that they're low on fuel? It's probably eating fuel from the rest of the craft. Let's disable the cross-feed and see if it changes. Yes, that's what we were looking for. We disabled cross-feed on our docking port there, and that shut us down. Really, these engines shouldn't be enabled while I'm docked, but meh, close enough. Let's see how much time it takes us to get around to the sun side so we can do another maneuver. And I'm going to shoot for 2 biomes on this trip. Am I facing the sun? I know I was wiggling and waggling some. Yeah, we're bueno. So, let's plan another landing. We know we've got one there. It looks like I can hit this one. And what I'm going to try to do is land here close to the slope. So close to one of these slopes, because one of the biomes on Minmus is slopes. And so if I land just on the edge of this flat, then I will be able to hop from the flat to the slope, get 2 biomes worth of science, then go back on up to the ship. The more I do this, the more I realize that it really would have made a lot more sense to do it in actual science mode so that I would get the science back. I mean, it's just not impressive to go down and get 0 science, even if I am demonstrating getting the 0 science. Lesson learned. Next time I do this stream with this specific topic, I will do it in science mode so we actually feel like we're accomplishing something instead of the game just making fun of us. So let's see here. I need to... Same thing we did before. Back to the craft. Bill is inside. Are you inside? Yes, you're inside. Excellent. We're all good to go. Let's go ahead and F5 it, just because. Undock, just because. That didn't redock me, did it? Did that redock me? No, it didn't. Alright, good. SAS engage, RCS on. Puff away from the station. That's good. We don't need to go too far. We just don't need to be right there. Remember what I said before. Now I'm controlling my lander craft. Now I'm going to go plan my landing. I don't want to be on the science ship itself to plan my landing. And we're going to go about things a little bit differently. Instead of completely killing our orbital velocity, we're going to do it this way. Right like that. Remember what I said last time? Planet rotates. This node is coming up in 12 minutes. 12 minutes? Yeah, that's correct. 12 minutes. So the planet's going to rotate a little bit, and I am going to change it. I always try to overfly just a little bit, but I'm pointing there. Hopefully when it rotates around, I'm pointing just at the edge of this. We're going to see if I can get landed right at the edge there. So, back over here. 11 minutes. RCS off. Let's find our node. Fire up Kerbal Engineer. Let's write this stuff down. This time I'll log everything. Orbit. No. Vessel. So we're 1189 Delta V to start. 1189 when we got away from the ship. We'll see what it is when we land. We'll see what it is when we take back. When we do our hop, then we'll see what it is when we get back to the ship. Because that information is going to make it useful for us to design more efficient landers. Alright. It's not going to take very much time at all. Again, look at this. We've flown this craft before, right? We know what the thrust to weight is. I mean, it's not going to apparently tell us what the estimate is until we fire up the engines. But we know that our thrust to weight's really freaking fantastic, so we don't have to... we don't have to really have a very accurate burn here. We'll see. I think I'm going to burn when it's about 5 seconds. There we go. Let's check it. There, we're hitting. I do like this. Right now you can see that Kerbal Engineer's surface display is telling me that my impact biome is going to be the Midlands. That's cool. I like it. Minmus isn't a problem because there's no atmosphere, so that is going to be accurate when we come down. Sorry, I just said Midlands. I meant slopes. It's right here, impact biome. We're going to impact on the slopes, even though we're currently flying over the Midlands. And I'm going to change that just by tweaking my control whenever I get close so that we land right there on the edge of the mint chocolate chip ice cream. But this is very useful, this impact biome, whenever you're dealing with a planet that doesn't have atmospheres. Paging Cybertech. Paging Cybertech. Does the impact biome take into account the rotation of the planet? Paging Cybertech. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if the impact biome takes into account the rotation of the planet, so we'll see. So what I need to do now, we're just going to fly this one. And when I get right about here, I'm going to land. Alright, well that's odd. We'll do it without a maneuver node. We'll do this one live. But I'll just put a node there so I know about when to start doing it. Right about there. Alright, that at least tells me when I should start that burn. So we're just going to point into our service. Relative velocity. Our ship is good to go. Am I not at the top of the chat? Or does no one care? Alright, let's see here. There we go. We'll go ahead and orient ourselves. So that's going to be in 8 minutes. I'm going to time warp. It's going to kick off my time warp here in a second. Our impact biome is still slopes. So maybe we can answer our own question. There's where we're going for. And I'm going to do this landing without the landing gear. I will just land it on our field improvised science goo container / landing gear. I feel good about that. Impact biome still slopes. On here, impact biome still slopes. Alright, let's go ahead and zoom it on down till it removes our time warp capabilities. Alright, I'm very confident in this lander, and I'm very confident in Minmus's very low gravity. British Turbo, welcome! We are landing on Minmus and scraping her clean of science. Don't tell... not PETA, that's animals. Don't tell Greenpeace. That's what I was looking for. I feel like I'm going to... I'm okay. I'm not worried about it right now. Wow, those clouds definitely make it a little bit harder, don't they? I can fall a lot further before I'm worried here. In fact, I think I can fall till I'm about 2,000 before I start worrying about what's going to happen on this. Landing lights on, although I don't really think I need them. Remember, when you're flying over this stuff, you can do crew reports and stuff. You can totally do crew report. Oops, I had one I needed to transfer apparently. Transmit that. Do another crew report. Where am I at? 3.5? I'm good. Crew report. Alright, now is the time to start bleeding off this velocity. So I'm just going to burn straight at the green thing. I want to burn away from the green thing. Maybe not straight at it, because what I want to do is push it so that it's pointing straight up. And once that green thing is pointing straight up, like that, and I'm in surface mode here, I didn't do that the most efficiently I could have, but this means that we're basically falling straight down. We're not coming in at an angle. We're not going to come bouncing off the surface of the planet. Our impact biome's great flats. That's good. Arr, I wish you could zoom in a lot more. I wish there was a different map for flight operations. But we're good to go. We're going to land right there on the edge. Check out that Delta V. What is his base orbit? My base orbit of the station is 25, I think we put it at. So let's see here. We're going on down and landing. Is that my shadow? Is the sun up there? Yes, the sun's up there. There's my shadow if anybody else saw it right there. And I'm just going to go ahead and land here. When this gets to 0, this needs to be 0. If not, it'll help you make it 0. It will definitely assist you in making this number 0 when this number is 0. Let's bleed off some of this. Under 500, 20 meters per second. That still seems like we're going super fast. There's 15. There's the weird your shadow disappears bug. And now let's puff it down. So I'm pointing straight up. And I may need to put a little bit more juice into it. Ah! Bad move, bad move. Thoop! There we have one lander. Landed pretty close to the slopes. You can see him right there in the distance on the other side of the clouds. Over on Minmus. So, and notice I landed without the gear down. Wow, I landed backwards again. I guess the sun is straight up. I really should have put a light on the back of the lander here so that the actual area that I work in is illuminated. I could do it. Here, we're on Minmus. Let's fix it for the purposes of streaming. I need some H to puff me off the surface, and I need some Q to rotate me around. And I need to kill my velocity, and I need to buff back down. Ta-da! Alright. So now we've got light on this side at least. Let's turn off Kerbal Engineer. We're good to go. Let's say... Do we need a crew report? Let's go ahead and get that crew report out of our way. Let's... Is it done transmitting? Maybe I should put one of those huge Communitron antennas on the top of this, just so the stuff like instantly transmits. I never really have understood the balance of those things anyways. Log some temperature. Got it. Log some seismic data. Got it. Any earthquakes? Nope. Log the gravity data. Stop making fun of me, game. Let's not forget this time. Observe material bay. Excellent. Let's do observe mystery goo. Muy bien. Let's do an EVA. And we should be able to get an EVA report. Just above. Excellent. That's a good trick. Learn that trick. Chainsaw Face, I'm trying to get to where I stream every day. I'm going to be doing a Kerbal Space Academy class every day, and then a for fun kind of challenge, something in my my career mode every day. And I'm typically going to be doing it in the evenings. Kerbal Space Academy kind of in the after school, so that I'm before dinner and I'm after school for the United States. I can't do it for everyone in the world. Maybe if I get more people streaming with me that I could do it. And then the fun stuff I'll do in the evening, kind of after dinner. My time is Eastern Standard Time, so I typically operate in Eastern Standard Time. So what did I do? I got the EVA report. Oh yeah, I was gonna say, a very good trick to learn. You can get an EVA report. Oops. When flying over, not when flying over, but when close to the surface, if you're hanging on a ladder. So make your Kerbal hang on a ladder, get an EVA report from there, slam it into the crew hatch, like that. Actually, while we're here, we can also grab these results. This is why I put the experiments right here next to the ladder. I can just hop out the pod, I can hang on the ladder, and I can grab those results. It's totally super easy. There we are on the surface. Oh, what was this? This was the... Ouch. Don't knock your lander over, doofus. Let me shuffle over to the... I'm just tapping the key to make him kind of moonwalk across there. Collect the data out of there. Got it. Collect the data out of the goo canister. Got it. Let's hibbity hop over to here. Take a surface sample. Excellent. Do an EVA report. Got it. Plant a flag. Does anyone know how it determines what direction the flag is going to face? I have tried and I have tried, but I cannot... I think this was the Great Flats. The Great Flats Science Survey. I think I was on the Great Flats. Let's switch to the ship. Too late now. Where am I at, Kerbal Engineer? because I love you. Great Flats. All right, good. I guessed correctly. That's another kind of fast and loose way to do it, to remember which biomes you've gotten science from. When you're down there, plant a flag, put the name of the biome on the flag, and that will let you not only look at the surface of the planet and see what you've already visited, but also, if you're tracking in a spreadsheet or something, just keep track of which biomes you've been to. You can also go back to the Space Center and review it in the R&D facility, to see what you've done in each location, but that means you have to leave the ship, blah, 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 blah. Let's log our Delta V. Last time I landed with 880. This time I have 940. I have a whole lot more Delta V. That's because we didn't do that. What is this? 940, I'm just going to call it. 943. We didn't do that crazy, inefficient... the slope you're on? That's interesting. Maybe when we get over to the slope, because my next stop is the slopes. When we get over to the slope, I'll see if we can figure out something. I'd never thought of that. So let's flit over to the slopes. This looks like a good slope over here. That would be a bit more of a flight if I wanted to fly over there. So I'm just gonna hop over this way. RCS off. I wrote down my Delta V, didn't I? Yes, I did. All right. So let's just use our main engines to burn over to the slopes. Tilt. I'm going to put my gear down for this one. I'd rather be flying straight north, which is this way. And cut. Check. Wish I could zoom in more. Doesn't look like that's going to make me get to the slopes. Actually, doesn't look like it's going to make me get anywhere. It's so hard to see with these clouds. Let's have Kerbal Engineer tell us where our... impact biome midlands. That's interesting. It may be doing those as midlands instead of slopes. Well, if I land in the midlands, then I land in the midlands. That's all good. I'm going to puff along and see if I can't... It's so hard to tell where the... I mean, on the map, it looks like I'm... No, it's so hard to tell. This map is so bad. Alright, let's go ahead and... I think we're good to go. It looks like we've... Wow, look how high we are. Not very. Let me kill some of this velocity here like this. Point at the green thing. Make sure you're not too close to the ground. Kill your velocity. Because you want to fall straight down. So notice how I was pushing. I'm trying to push that little X over. That's all I want to do. That's a pretty good slope. I love those lights because they make the slope so obvious. So let's see if we can't orient with the slope. That makes me feel better about my orientation. Eek! That was a very poor landing. Let's see what I can do here. That was a serious bounce. That was not good. I can use my RCS to kill off some of my velocity though. Let's see if I can't get falling straight down again. There we go. Alright. Now I'm pointed straight up. I should have come in a little bit slower. Now I'm falling straight down. How was the slope? Let's try this again. Round 2. I did that last minute slope orientation. And I should have known that the... Come on now. Let's RCS this. We're going to land it with RCS. That's how versatile this little lander is. It weighs so little that you can actually put yourself down on Minmus using only RCS. Like that. RCS disable. We'll leave the SAS on. That'll stick us to the side of the slope here. Let's go ahead and get some experiments from this. Crew report from Minmus Midlands. I like it. Temperature on Minmus Midlands. I like it. Gravity. I like it. One cool thing I've seen, I can't remember if somebody was streaming it or if I saw it on YouTube or what. I think that you can put these little science modules in action groups so that you can just press a single button and record most of your science that's attached to your ship. I think that that's a possibility. I can't remember where I saw it though, so I can't really give credit for who that was, but I think we got most of that stuff. Let's go ahead and do our EVA. Let's go ahead and get our EVA report. Yep, keep that data. Let's grab all of our stuff off of our instruments. Then we'll just slam it inside right here. Store experiments. Wait, what? Why wouldn't it let me store the experiments? Okay, there we go. We're good. Get down off the lander here. Don't jump too far, buddy. Ain't no gravity here. Oof. Grab the Science Junior. Got it. Grab the mystery goo. Got it. Do our normal flag planting operations. Alright. Has a tendency to plant uphill. I am definitely on a slope here. It's easy to see which way is uphill. Let's see which way the flag plants. Well, he turned kind of sideways. And that is definitely not uphill. So I think we can rule out that that factor. Let's just make sure. I mean, that's a little bit uphill in that direction, but I wouldn't say that that's the primary uphill direction right here. Ah, there we go. Thanks, Dan. That's a good point. Yeah, you could put them on there without symmetry, but that's an excellent point. That's a really good word of warning. Don't use symmetry. That's the type of thing that when we were making a training manual, we would put important or note in a little separate box that's highlighted in a little separate color, so that you would know not to do that. EVA report, got it. Service sample, got it. Going back to the craft, you know something? Let's do it live. See if we can knock this craft over with my poor flying. No big deal. Alright, we've collected all of our science from 2 different biomes. We're ready to return up to the station. So let's see here. That's that. I'm good to go. I still have as much delta V from getting 2 biomes this time as I did from getting a single biome landing in the middle of the flats last time. So we haven't even tapped into any of our reserves. I did do that one landing with RCS. What problem did we have last time? Last time we did... Oops, I didn't name that flag correctly. Whatever. Last time we got up there a lot sooner than the ship came around. That means we need it to be further along in its orbit before we take off this time. So that's all good. I think we're going to wait till it gets right about here, and then we're going to go for... Yeah, there you go. Dan for rescue got you there. Mugo G. Mugo Ihe. Man, type out your name phonetically. But yeah, there's that in orbit. Dan's already taken care of you there. So let's go ahead and come on around. I've seen so many people complain about that science lab, saying that it's so worthless, yada yada yada. The science lab is OP as heck. I think the science lab should weigh more or something. Or consume freaking buku electricity or something, because right now it's way useful. Like I said, with this setup that we just launched, I think the entire... Remember that part when I said I was from Texas? We don't use those little weird characters where I'm from. Typing it out like that does not help me pronounce it. I'm not a person of the world, I guess. It's no one's fault but my own. I do need to take off, but I don't know how to pronounce an O with a line through it. I apologize. Same thing we did last time. Throttle up, 0.45 degrees, 90 on the nav ball. Hop over here and watch. That looks like we're going down a little bit, so we're going to need to point north a little bit. Dope, that was too much north. South now. Let's see what we get this time. Did I not set this as the target? Why was it green? That's weird. Intersect 1. We're barely beating it this time again. So I need to burn... Let's see if we can't do a direct rendezvous this time. Nope. I need to burn south. Minmus is such a good place to learn to fly. There we go. If I burn south, bam! This is a direct orbital rendezvous. So we're coming straight up from the surface, and we're hitting the science lab basically at our apoaps. I mean, with a 0.2, look at this. An O with points above them. Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce that either. Ugh, or something, I guess. One of those weird languages from across the pond. So look at that. We have a 0.2 kilometer separation right there at our apoaps. This is a direct orbital rendezvous, straight from the ground up to our target. And we're going to do the same thing we did last time. We're going to focus on our node. We're going to put it prograde some. We're going to pull it back. Oops, sorry. Radial in this time. Put our apoaps in the middle of the node. That makes life a lot easier. Then we can give it more prograde. There we go. That is pretty dang close. Look at that. Over there it says we're going to be 1.9 kilometers. So I'll take it. I almost want someone to record the sound for me so that I know how to say those things. So we have a 3-second burn this time. Wow. Next time I will I'll design a lander with trilateral symmetry, because I think we could design a pretty easy lander that would let us do 3 biomes on Minmus. So with 11 biomes total, that would be 4 trips down to the surface. We would scrape the entire... I do totally have DOS in my name. Das Valdez, no less. It's like a Spanish name with a German... whatever that is. That's back from my college days. I picked it up because this username is never taken. A Spanish name with a German not even prefix, a German word "the" on the front of it. So I go by this name just because bird. What? Bird. Bird. Is it Is it the Yeah, that's fine. Mugo Ihe. Which is probably totally wrong. If you've got like a Google Translate or something, it's fine. I've seen you around. I don't mind if you post links. Mugarihi? Mugarihi? Oh, is this... What? Is like the with the R on the end of it? So do I pronounce your name Mugarihi, or is the E silent, or what? Without the R, so... I got nothing. How do I make the... It has the R on the end. I mean, how do I pronounce the sound without the... It's the J. I'm going to click this link. Since we got a little bit of time before this, I'm going to click this link. O with a dot on top, several Latin alphabets. Guy from Texas will never understand nor be able to pronounce it. I mean, it says right here on the freaking Wikipedia page that if you're from Texas, you can't pronounce this thing. Is there something that says it out loud? Maybe get me a Google diaresis, whatever. I'm hopeless. Don't they use that in the Monty Python thing when they're talking about moose or something? One of these things with the umlauts or the... I don't know. See if you can't grab me a Google Translate. And I wonder if I play it through my headphones, if it would play through the channel. I'm not advanced enough at streaming to know if that's going to work or not. While y'all look for the Google Translate link with the pronunciation. Bird. I can't separate the I in bird from the R in bird. It's like one sound to me. Bird. It's three things. It's the B, it's the erd, and it's the D. Yeah, I'm hopeless. I got nothing. You have an American first name and a Chinese last name. Was that like Billy Bob Chang? I totally made that up. I'm not assuming that that's your real name. I went to a Rice in Houston, Texas, and we had a place that would deliver us food when we were too lazy. I mean, when we were too busy working on classwork to go get it. And the place offered two types of cuisine. You could either get Mexican food, you could get Chinese. And admittedly, the name of the place was called Chico and Chang's. I guess fittingly, not admittedly. Chico and Chang's. Where's my station? There it is. Slow down, buddy. There we go. Chico and Chang's. Anyways, there was the rendezvous. So easy, you can talk about your college days and do it. Alright, let's puff over to the station here. Let's find our dorsal side. There we go. It's up. Right now we're coming in south of the station, it looks like. We don't want to do that. We want to come in north of the station. Like that. Actually, we would like to be going towards the station. Jason Lee. Jason Lee. Okay, I have all my umlauts. Nice. Anyways, Chico and Chang's. That place was delicious. It probably didn't add any years to my life, but it was totally delicious. So hey, here we have the same setup. I found the dorsal side of my craft, which is where the hatch is. I oriented so that dorsal is up, like this. I stayed in the regular camera mode, but you could do this with chase cam as well. And I looked at my nav ball, and I now see that my green relative prograde vector, I guess you could say, is north of the purple. This is where your target is. So we know that I'm going to be coming into the science ship up north. I'm just going to let this guy coast on in. Oh no. Alright, I'm going to watch that after I dock. Let's push this down a little bit. It looks like I'm coming in a little bit to the side here. There we go. That makes me feel better. Alright, let's get over to the craft. I'm just going to time warp. Time warping saves fuel. Let's just keep that green thing on top. Just almost like we're building a snowman out of nav bubbles. There we go. That's good right there. I think we're going to coast on in just to the northern part of the station there. From the bottom it looks like, but I think we're good. Bend that vector a little bit more. Build that snowman. Put the green dot on top of the purple dot. Again, that only works if you're oriented correctly. Once you find the dorsal side, once you orient correctly, that is the only time that trick will work. Let's go ahead and time warp so that we go over. Check it out. My snowman means that I'm building the top of the station here. Again, the building the snowman thing works because my docking port is on the top of the station. Looks like we're coming in good. That's what we want. Let's go ahead and set this target up. And let's go ahead and control from here. Now our dorsal, ventral, everything is totally different. But we are close enough to the station that it doesn't matter. So there we go. Lock that in. Let's kill this velocity. Like that. And let's kill this velocity. And then I need to go towards it a little bit. Which would be the other button, Valdez. The other button. Alright, check it out. Same story. Same story. We're drawing a line between our nav bubbles. Wow, I'm coming in hot. There we go. I definitely came in a little bit hot there. I wasn't... it's going a little bit faster than I did last time. Alright, now we're pretty good. Let's puff over so we get over the station. And down.
it up, boss. Excellent. Now I see the green dot, so I know where I'm going. What I really need to do is turn on the shift key. This is not the world's best docking, but it's good enough for government work.